So several big brands have been caught up in culture wars lately around LGBT issues, particularly around the trans community and drag performers. In just the last few weeks, Target, Bud Light, the LA Dodgers, and North Face have all been subject of vicious and vitriolic arguments on partisan media and social media, some of which has spilled out into real life physical confrontations. And it seems like this level of hostility and division is so elevated this year, like it hasn't been in the past. Bud Light, they've been sponsoring Pride events for years. As a gay and an attendee of Pride for many years, I can attest to this. They advertised with a transgender influencer this year. And why did that one instance blow up? One accelerant to this fire is just the volume of incendiary rhetoric pumped out in biased publications. Let's take a look at a few articles. Article from the left from Jezebel. It says, please, Texas Republicans, stop trying to kill queer kids. And if you scroll down in the middle of this article, it says, simply put, that progressive policies around LGBT health and rights save lives, while the policies of Republicans are promoting hurt and ultimately kill children. Now, from the right, on Town Hall, the middle of this article says, there's a small but vocal sect that wants to pump kids full of puberty blockers, surgically twist around their genitals, and make them whatever gender their parents want them to be, regardless of what biological science says. These procedures on children aren't healthcare, it's abuse. Let's go back to the left. This article from the Los Angeles Blade says, Montana GOP lawmaker, okay to risk daughter suicide versus being trans. And you can see a quote here, a quote tweet in the middle that says, Montana bill sponsor, I prefer my transgender daughter commit suicide rather than allow her to transition. Now, if you actually hear what the lawmaker said, that's a really unfair characterization that's saying that she would prefer her daughter to commit suicide. And then last, let's take a look at another one on the right from PJ Media, talking about Karine Jean-Pierre. Let's just jump to the last line. KJP and Biden are not only trying to violate the sacred rights of parents, but they're also deliberately touting medical treatments that will damage and destroy young children. Go to hell, groomers. That's where you apparently come from anyways. Yikes. There are real important societal issues to cover in the news about trans people, like how trans people exist and would like to have rights and be protected from discrimination, abuse, and harm, and how the need for these rights intersect with notions, longstanding notions of how we've historically segregated certain spaces and activities like bathrooms and sports based on male and female gender classifications, and how medical standards of care have evolved to treat transgender people. Real issues worthy of discussion, right? But in super partisan media, these real issues get reduced to accusations that the other side wants to literally kill or molest or mutilate your children. Now, if a small but sizable part of our population believes that Republicans want to kill your children and don't care if they commit suicide, and Democrats want to molest or disfigure your children, it's inevitable that some people will take that to the extreme and it will spill out into violence. Now, I know that if you yourself are solidly left or right, you're just convinced that the other side is worse than yours. Not just in the divisiveness of the rhetoric, but in just being wrong in general. Like, yeah, I showed you two examples from the right and the left, but you think you're right and they're wrong. And so they're much more to blame. Understandable, right? But understand that the other side thinks the same thing as well. And you might be right. Like maybe your side, their side is truly 75% to blame and your side is 25% to blame for the escalation of this rhetoric. But truly, it doesn't matter how wrong the other side is. You're not on the other side. You're on your side. And the only arguments you can control are the ones that you make. And the only kind of rhetoric that you can de-escalate is your own. If we want to stop living in a constant outrage cycle where no actual progress gets made, there are things we can do. mainly turning our attention and our ad dollars away from polarizing biased sites and toward reasonable and reputable information outlets.